Wow.
Right. Good morning, everybody. We are here for Back on Stage webinars and training. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, I just muted everybody's microphones there. It sounded like maybe some people were chit-chatting, but we'll leave you to your own devices to come back and chat another time. Sorry about that. So, yeah, here we are. Wow, so excited to get on here with you guys today and show you some new stuff. Today we're looking at just kind of an overview of the gig sheet, the whole new sort of booking creator workflow. I want to take you guys around the new navigation a little bit and some of the dashboard stuff. So we've got a ton of stuff to cover. This will probably be one of the more involved sessions this week. But if you are watching the replay of this after the fact, we do have more of these coming up. So we've got tomorrow as well, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We'll be going over some other stuff. And then on Wednesday, we're doing one again at 10 a.m. and then at 1 p.m. as well, all Pacific time as well. So hopefully you guys can join us for all those, or feel free to take your pick of whatever you want. We will be posting the replays of everything on the page that you have the link to for watching this webinar as well. So feel free to go back and check anything out at those links if you want to replay any of this stuff. So with all that said, I am here alone here monitoring this here today. So I am going to keep an eye on the chat over here. If you guys have any questions as we're going around stuff here, feel free to post them in the chat and I will try to keep an eye on that. I do only have so many eyeballs though, so while I'm running around here in the app doing stuff, I may miss things as they're coming up there, but we're going to try to address as many things as we can here today. All right, I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get right to this because I know you guys are all itching to learn here. So here we go. Sharing my screen. All right. If anybody cannot see my screen now, feel free to pop a message up in the chat, but that should be coming through there for you now. So let's go ahead and get started. So we are looking at the new and improved dashboard right over here. And I want to start just with the navigation actually right here at the top. So basically everything that you see here at the top pertains to you as an individual, whereas everything on the left-hand side pertains to whichever company or space you are logged into at the moment. So of course, coming over here to your profile icon gives you control over your profile, your subscription, as well as your Google Calendar sync. I think some of you still haven't discovered that you can sync back on stage to your Google Calendars. You can do that right there. So check that out. We now have a fun new dark and light mode in here as well. That's super handy for our late night lifestyles. It's nice to be able to turn the brightness off at some parts of the day. Over here, we've got your notifications. We heard a lot from you guys as to, there being a lot of notifications in there that weren't super helpful. So we've gotten rid of a lot of things that fit that bill and have just sort of left the ones in that we know sort of made a difference for you. Coming over here are all of your chat messages. So anything going on within bookings themselves are here under the band chat. We have added this new team chat feature over here on the left-hand nav bar as well. So those chats are showing up under this column. And then we've got your admin chat, which again, those come out of bookings as well, but are just for the admins to see. And then lastly, over here, we've got our drop-down calendar. This is not new in our interface, but a lot of people didn't actually know it existed. So this is a super handy way to navigate the system. You can sort of see all your bookings here and quickly jump into things from there. Personally, it's my favorite way to get around the app, and I hope it will be yours too. All right, over to the left-hand side here, if you click on this option here at the top, that will expand all the companies that you are part of. You're going to see a list of all the company names if you're an admin in those companies. Otherwise, you're just going to see My Musician Space, at which point any companies you're involved with as a musician, all of your bookings are sort of conglomerated into that one space for you. And then coming down here, dashboard, obviously that just takes you back to this thing we're looking at for whatever company you're in at the moment. We've got your bookings down here. You can quickly jump into calendar board or sheet view, or add new bookings right from there. Leads, same thing. We've got your add new button at the top. Any leads requiring action are right there at the top. Then you've got active leads, as well as a quick link to your lead forms and sequences in there. Team chat, obviously, clients, and then we've got members. We've added a whole bunch of new member sections in here. So you can see your active members. You can drill down into roles. We've got a new payouts report, which is just a big list of all the payouts you've sent to people. We've got a brand new statistics section here as well, which is super handy. That shows you kind of how many gigs you've booked a certain individual for, how quickly they respond, how many they've accepted versus declined, and that sort of thing. So fun little statistics on your members. Your repertoire is all over here now. So we've got music library, set lists, and we've broken out a new section for files to make it easier for you to keep track of everything that you've attached to all of your songs. And lastly, your company details here. So your details include all of your company settings. Then we've got roles. We've got all of your services in here, signatures, contract and email templates, your show feed widget, notification control center. And then if for whatever reason you're feeling like you do not want to be around anymore, you can delete your company there as well. All right, that's all the navigation stuff. To the dashboard now. So obviously everything here has changed and been updated significantly. So we really wanted to bring out the sort of business aspect of your live music aspect by really putting your money in front of you a little easier. So over here in our pipeline value, this is everything that's coming up. So this doesn't show you anything that's happened in the past, but essentially all of your leads can now be attributed to values as well. So there's a new value field inside of your leads. If someone's booked your 5-piece band, or sorry, not booked yet, but if they're thinking about booking your 5-piece band and that's worth $5,000 or whatever, you can pop that in there as the value. And then this will add up all of your leads values. So you can see kind of what you might be able to wring out of those leads in the coming months. And then anything that transitions over to the booking side of things and is in the negotiation phase will show up in this area. And we've got confirmed bookings there. And then we total it all up for you there. And so again, that's all just the future stuff that we're looking at there. Once things fall into the past, they come out of your pipeline because they've either happened or not happened. So they won't show up there anymore. Revenue projection over here gives you a glance at what you did last year versus this year and what you might be able to expect next year from all of your bookings that are in the calendar and confirmed. Over here, we show you a nice little snapshot of kind of what you've saved using Back on Stage over the last year or so, tallying up all of your automatic emails and contracts and invoices, as well as all of the gig offers you've sent. So you get a sense of sort of the activity my band's had. So I think it's been a decent investment for my group to be here. Coming down here, we've got income and expenses. You can click on any of these sections. So this company, let's actually see here. I'll drill down, give this a little more of a date range here so we can see a few more colors. But essentially, this will show you all of your ins and outs over a certain period that you've selected there. And in varying colors here. So you can see the dark green is money I've actually received. Lighter green is overdue invoices. And then I've got future invoices in lighter green. Similarly for expenses, we've got dark for expenses that have actually happened. And then we've got overdue payouts. Those are for musicians you've hired on past gigs that you haven't paid yet. And then we've got future payouts, musicians you've hired for future things that you haven't yet paid out. So that gives you a nice visual of exactly where your company's at. And like I said, clicking on any of those will open up a nice little data table here, showing you all those transactions, which can all be exported to CSV should you need to do that for taxation or any reason like that. Coming further down here, we've got a new little calendar widget here for you. Again, just like the drop-down calendar up here, so you can toggle around from month to month and pull out your events that way. We've redesigned sort of what you see in the drop-down here, so you've got a really quick idea of what's going on in that schedule, as well as the actual services that are being provided on that event as well. And then over into your booking action items here, we've got all sorts of stuff. If you scroll along the top here, this is essentially pulling out all of the little things from bookings that you might need to be tending to. So ideally, in the perfect world, you would get all of these. I mean, the recently created bookings, that just is pulling in all of the things you've sort of added into the system in the last 60 days there. But from the overdue contracts right over to the end here, your goal should essentially be to get those down to zeros every day. If you've got no overdue contracts, no overdue invoices, no payouts due, and that sort of thing, then you're in good shape. But that helps you find all of those action items really easily. There is a little issue here, obviously, with the overdue invoices right now. My company doesn't have that many overdue invoices. So if you guys are seeing a wonky number there, we are working on that one. There are still some bugs in the system, as I'm sure you're all aware. And then coming down to leads here, the last thing on the list, we've got a sort of little graph here of all the leads that have been coming into your company over the last little while. And then we've also got your action items from all the leads coming out here as well. So any lead will sort of pop into this area when they require action. And that is set when either their next contact date has passed or they have some unread emails in their files here. And so you can quickly find out who those leads are and jump in there. Of course, you can also come over here and see who your requiring action leads are from there also. Okay, so that is the dashboard. We are going to jump right into the gig sheet now. So I'm going to jump around a little bit from the agenda that was on the original webinar thing, because I think this flow is going to make a little more sense for things. But I want to show you everything that we've got on the new gig sheet and how we've sort of revamped this whole layout. And then we'll go into how to actually do this kind of a layout inside the booking creator itself. So first of all, you'll notice everything's kind of in a different spot here a little bit. We've shifted the columns around a little. But first of all, right here at the top, we've built a brand new actions dropdown for you guys with so many more items in here for you to just be able to jump into different areas of the booking creator, trying to make less clicks and easier pathways to everything for you. So you can, of course, jump in and edit the event details, go right to your schedule, invoice contract, show promo. Coming over here, you can just jump straight into editing roles and rates for services you've got attached there. And of course, duplicating and deleting there. Right here at the top, we've made all of your sort of key information really accessible. You can see right away that this event I'm looking at is a multi-day event. So that is one of our newest features in here as well. And you can see right here at the top of my schedule that this is a 2-day event. And then you can see here we've got this event spanning from, it starts on July 21st, and then we've got a second date on the 1st of August. So this is something that people were requesting a lot, is being able to create series of events within one booking for so many different reasons. In this instance, what I've actually done is, this is a wedding simulation gig that I've just set up here. So you can see my event's got the actual event on August 1st, but we needed to have a rehearsal for this to learn some songs. So I've actually included that in the booking here as well. So that's just one example of what a multi-day booking might be really helpful for. Something where if you need a rehearsal for a gig or for a string of gigs, throw that right into the booking so that musicians know when they accept that gig, it's a package deal with that rehearsal you've booked. So that's just one example, but plenty of people are wanting to do things like recording sessions, for example, that happen over several days. Maybe you've got 4-day stretch in a studio and you need to have people booked for all 4 days. That would be another great way to use multi-day events. Also, if you're just playing every Thursday at your local bar, for example, you could plug that in on maybe a monthly basis. If you're just going to bill that client once for the month or something like that, and you want to just have all 4 of those Thursdays from the month in one booking to make it a little easier for you to manage. Just another way you could do that. So lots of ways to use multi-day events, and we'll get into how to set those up in the next part of all this. But you can see here the schedule now has been shifted over to the left-hand column here. And we've added some colors into there to make it easier for people to see stuff. You can see as I'm hovering my mouse over things, they get darker, so they're a little easier to read here and there. We've got our set list underneath the 9-piece band service there. So lots more you can do with these set lists because we've made it possible for you to add notes under every single schedule item you've got. So whereas before you could really only add notes along with your services, you can now add notes anywhere. You can add start and end times for every single item on there. You can create and edit schedule items a lot more easily than before, and you can even add attachments and set lists to every single item as well. So it doesn't have to be a service item anymore to be able to add a set list to it. I could add a set list to my sound check if I wanted to, for example. So lots more you can do with the schedule component there and really get as detailed as you need to with that. All right, coming along to the additional details over here. We have a lot more stuff going on in here. We've added some nice little icons to make it easier for people to check stuff out there. As you can see here, all the standard fields we had before are there. And then as I scroll down to the bottom here, I've actually added bride's name and groom's name into my company. So these are custom fields that I've added and that I've selected. I want to make those publicly visible so they will show up here for everyone to see. We also have custom fields over here, you'll notice, and these are located inside our new admin tab. So those are visible to admins only. Your musicians won't see anything on that tab. So that's what's going on there. So let's come over to the admin tab now. So we've got everything here that an admin would want to know about this event. And again, musicians don't see any of this, but you can see your total income here at the top, along with balance owing. As clients start to pay down their invoice balance, this is going to decrease for you. Of course, you get a nice little profit number there. And then if they happen to give you a tip, that'll show up there as well. We've packed all your client information right into the sidebar here, so you can quickly drill into that, make a call or send an email. Over here, your contract and invoice statistics. We've got these handy action buttons right here, just again, making it really easy for you to access everything. You can apply payments right from here, so you can put in your credit cards information there, or any offline method if you prefer. You can jump straight into editing, downloading, send that, or just copying the link for that to send out if you want to text it out or something like that. All the same options here for your contract as well. We've tucked questionnaires here also, so you can quickly get in there to create or view the questionnaires your client has filled out for you. And a little sidebar about questionnaires. For those of you who were using them previously, you'll note in the past, you could only create one questionnaire per booking. So it was a little limiting if you wanted to maybe send one out and collect gig details initially and then send out another one for song requests later and that sort of thing. It wasn't possible to do that. We've now made it available for on our Leader Elite plans and up from there. You can do as many questionnaires as you need within a booking. We've got, I think it's tomorrow where we're digging deep into questionnaires, so I'm not going to go too much into that today. But there's so much more you can do with questionnaires now as well. So really excited to share that with you guys when the time comes. Subscribed admins there, tags, and then the rest of the sort of admin stuff down there. I do want to sidebar really quickly and just jump into the client portal as well while we're talking about contracts and invoices, because this is completely remodeled as well. I'm super excited to be putting my clients through this because the client experience these days is everything. And we've really tried to take that to heart while we built this out for you guys. So first of all, the banner here at the top is completely customizable. You can set a default at your company level, which will apply across all your bookings. And then you can go a step further if you want to customize that on each individual booking. You can upload a special banner for that booking if you want. So if you wanted to tailor this to a specific bride and groom, for example, and make them feel pretty special about your booking, go ahead and build some fancy banner and put their names on it or something and see how they feel about that. Coming down to your contract and invoice section here, we've swapped the location of the contract and the invoice just vertically here. We heard from people that they wanted to see the invoice first. So we've made that amend here, and then you can see it's a lot easier for clients to follow a payment flow here. They can choose to pay their deposit, their balance, or a custom amount. They can choose whatever payment method they want, hit pay, and get straight into the PayPal checkout that way. Coming down to the contract down here, we've changed the procedure for how people sign now. So instead of them seeing your signature right away, contracts are now countersigned when the client submits their signature. So they've got more options here now. They can type their name in to sign that, which is a little easier than doing the mouse version, or they can come over here and still use the sign with the mouse or upload a signature file as well. So lots more options for them to do that. Back up to the top here, we now have a nice little section for all the messages. So as you're emailing your client back and forth for this event, they'll be able to see that whole message chain here, as well as send you a message right from there. And then, of course, questionnaires are here now as well. So as you post questionnaires to this event, they'll show up here for your client to answer, and they can always come back and review any answers and let you know if they need to make changes or anything like that. Cool. Jumping back to our gig sheet over here. All right, on to our tabs here. Well, we've got the admin chat. That's not new, but we have made some nice new little UI improvements here. So you'll see when you submit a chat now, we've also got the attachment option there as well. But when you submit a chat, we give you the nice little rolling icon so you can, oops, because there's a bug in there today, get that nice little rolling icon in there to show you that that's being submitted. Let's get back into that. We are still squashing bugs every minute here, but there we go. It posted. Awesome. Okay, so on to all of our tabs here. We've reorganized things a little bit here, but a lot of the stuff you're used to is still there, obviously. So we've got the band chat in there. We've got your list of all the roles that come up over here. We've got your sort of Dropbox for all your files in there. What can I say about roles? Roles, we've added some really cool features in here. So you can actually come in here now and edit the columns that are showing up on this sheet. One thing that we noted about the old system was that we had no way of sort of tracking dietary preferences, which is becoming much more of a thing these days as you kind of have to submit meal requests and things for all the events you do. And it's really helpful to know and remember what all of your musicians' meal preferences are sometimes. So we've added a field into people's personal profiles now for them to add their dietary preferences in there. And you can actually come in here now and choose this diet option. Of course, you've got all the other options here as well, should you need to display any other information on your data table there. But selecting that option will then add another column here to let you see all of that in one place. And then you can even export that to CSV should you need to send that off to a caterer or a client or whatever. Just making it really handy for you to get all of your musicians' information out of this booking should you need for any reason there. All right, files. We've made it a lot easier to get files into here. This is actually a draggable zone now. So if I want to upload a bunch of files, it's as easy as just dragging and dropping a whole group of them onto this area, and I can upload them in a batch that way. So making it easier for you guys to work with that. Coming over to client now. So we've added these little eyeball icons up on top of these as well, just showing you as an admin that your musicians don't see this area, so they won't see the finances or the show area either. So within the messages now, we've put this little handy notice up here. So if you need to email messages into here for, if a client emails you outside of back on stage and you want to make sure that conversation's logged in here for you to access as well, we've made it really easy for you to grab that link and forward messages into that conversation. Within the email creator here, we've now added email templates up here, so you can create your own templates, as many as you need, and be able to access those anytime you're sending an email to a client. That's also a lead feature if you're not on a leader or lead plan. And I will sidebar and say, in case you guys missed our Black Friday sale that was out on Friday, we've opened up that page again today if you want to get in there and hook yourself up on a leader or lead plan for all these new features I'm talking about. We've got some really great deals going on those, so do check that out And I will put a link for that in the chat. In fact, I'm going to just do that right now. So it's there for you guys to go and check out should you desire that. Okay, so that's email templates. Not a whole lot's new in this window aside from that. You guys are all used to sending emails, so I'm not going to bore you with that anymore. Files, we still have that. Again, draggable zone to get your files uploaded. Client portal. Okay, so this area has got some brand new stuff. I mentioned earlier that you can customize the banner inside your client portal. This is how you do that. So if you're on the default banner setting here, you'll see this nice little guitar and piano image. That's the one that I've got sort of in my portal right now. That's the default. So that is going to be showing in all of your client portals right now, unless you've changed that. If you come in here and change this, when you're on the default banner, again, that's going to set the default across every single booking in your company. So I would recommend you probably do that and set that right now for something that's a little more congruent with your brand. But if you want to dial down even further and change that on a booking level, just toggle over to the custom booking banner there and upload a banner in that area, and that will affect this current booking. So from within that, we've got your client portal link right there as well. Coming over to tasks now. This section has been completely remodeled. We are working on a new feature within here that we call auto tasks, and this is in beta, so it's still a little buggy, beware. But what auto tasks do is allow you to use your email templates. For example, if I wanted to send this 1 week pre-gig check-in to a client, I could set that to send 1 day. No, I would want to send that 7 days before the event date. So it's a week before. And that way you can actually schedule emails to be sent out at various times. So again, that's still in beta. I wouldn't get too excited about that one just yet until we're sort of through the beta phase on that one, but feel free to check it out because you can send emails to subscribed admins as well as booked members on these events. So you can use those for all sorts of communication needs in there. All right, finances. Lots of new stuff going on here in finances. So first of all, we've added a nice little handy graph, just like you saw on the dashboard earlier. This helps you get a really quick idea of what's going on in this event. You can see your current profit over here, which is like where you stand right now in terms of money you've actually received and money you've actually paid out, as well as the project profit. So this is like the should everything go to plan in this event, this is the profit you can be expecting from that. So in this case, I'm expecting $10,000 from my client right now. And I'm expecting to be paying out $3,200 to all of my musicians. So it's running that math for me right now. So essentially when the gig is over, these two numbers should match. Your current profit when the gig is completed should be the expected project profit that you had anticipated. So that's how those numbers work. All right, coming down to bills here. So as soon as you've booked a musician on an event, they will now appear here in your unpaid bills area. So you can get a nice idea here of how much you owe everybody, any amounts, that sort of thing. We've got all sorts of options down in here now. As you can see, I've got a pretty good band lineup, so I gotta treat these people well, make sure they get paid on time. From within here, you can check these boxes and then come up to these bulk actions. We've got a lot of options up here to either send payments via PayPal or Venmo, or you can just log payouts there as well. So for example, if I wanted to mark those as paid, it's as easy as coming up here and saying, okay, maybe I sent this person a Zelle payment. This isn't connected with Zelle, so it's not going to do that for me. But if I did that outside of here, this is how I would log that. Actually, we can do a Venmo, so I've got a whole bunch of other labels in here I don't need. So let's say I did that. That would be all I'd need to do. Hit send save payments, and then those guys are marked as paid. Yeah, so for the auto pay as well, I don't know how many of you have auto pay set up. That works through PayPal. That is a super handy feature if you haven't explored that yet. All you have to do is sort of hover around here and the system's going to tell you what you need to do to get that set up. So it's telling me here I haven't connected my auto pay. I need to go to my company settings and look for that auto pay stuff. So that all lives within here. I go to company settings and details. You'll see all of your auto pay settings there. If you haven't connected a PayPal account, you have to do that first. And then you can turn on auto pay sort of at a global level. And then you would come in booking by booking and select your musicians and just hit enable auto pay there. And that schedules all your musicians to be able to receive their payout at whatever setting you've set in your auto pay settings, which again happens over here in your company details. So for example, I like to pay my musicians the day after the event at 9 in the morning. So I have that set over here in my company settings for auto pay. And then all I have to do is open up an event anytime before it's happened, click on all these events, click on enable auto pay, and then that's going to do that trick for me. And I can rest easy knowing that everyone's getting their money when they should be. So coming down here, you can see now I have paid one of my guys so far. So he's moved down to the paid bills area. Mr. Clapton got a nice little paycheck. So I've paid him out $400, and I can open up that tab to either view that invoice or download it that I've sent to him. And then coming over to our income and expenses here. Once your client starts making payments against their invoice, they will start coming up into this table here. You can also click that button to add a credit card payment or any other method there from them as well. And then your expenses down here. So this will tally up every expense for this event. So you can see that invoice payment I made to Mr. Clapton is showing up on this table already. So all of your musician payouts will transfer to here as soon as you've computed those. You can also add other custom expenses here now as well. So if you needed to rent a speaker or a vehicle or something for this event, you could throw that on there and keep track of that also. Okay, lots there. Whew. Feel like I need to take a deep breath after all that, but yes, we are making good progress. So with that said, that's everything I want to look at for the gig sheet. Now we're going to kind of get behind the scenes here and show you how to actually build one of these out within the booking creator. So again, my actions button here is my friend. I click on here and I go to edit event details, and that takes me into our edit event details form. So some really cool changes on here, but a lot of familiarity too, I hope. We did move things around a lot, but we've added some things in here for you guys. So first thing you'll probably notice is that we've got the add secondary contact button right here. So basically, in a nutshell, everything that you do to edit your booking is now either on this form or somewhere inside the booking creator. If you recall from the past version, we used to have a lot of ways for you to, well, not a lot of ways, but some ways for you to edit things kind of directly within the booking page here. So everything has now moved to this one location. So it's just a little easier for us to instruct you guys as to where to go, as well as for you guys to just know if I'm trying to edit something, it's going to be here. So firstly, take a note of all the tabs across the top here. You've got all your main event details there. We've got additional details like your notes, attire, meals, backline, and parking all in there. Accommodation over here. All of your custom fields over there. And then your guest list is right there. I'm going to just talk about custom fields really quickly. So for those of you who are using them in the past, you knew that kind of the process was you had to create custom fields so that they existed in the system, and then you had to manually sort of turn on each field within each booking to be able to use it. That was a little bit cumbersome. So we've tried to make this a lot easier, and also tried to streamline a little bit so you can see kind of what's going on here. So first of all, we have a couple different types of public fields. If you remember from the gig sheet, we had ones that were being displayed right here in this column publicly for everyone to see. And again, just as a sidebar, basically everything within this big card you see under Terry and Joe's wedding, both these columns, is for everyone to see. So that makes it just a little easier for you as admins to know what my musicians are able to look at versus what only my admin team can look at. So then we've got the private fields that are showing up here under custom fields. So coming back to here, public fields and admin fields. So that's how those two things are working. So if I wanted to add another field to my booking, to my gig sheet under that area where all the musicians could see it, I would make sure I'm toggled on to public fields here. I would come into add a new field. I can create any type of field in here. So we've got a text field type, we've got a date, we've got a time drop down. We've got a drop down select, which lets you basically set a bunch of options that you can choose from. A larger paragraph option, and then a location, which essentially does a Google Map search as you're typing in and finds addresses for you. So when you create an event or a field like that, you give it a name. Each field will also generate its own unique token handle here. That is so that you can use this field inside your contracts, email templates, that sort of thing, should you need to use this in any kind of template way. So once you've got fields created here, you can drag and drop them to reorder them in this area. And this is a global setting. So once you've got your fields in order, that's the order they're going to show up in across all of the bookings they're used in. If you put a value into that field, for example, I've typed Joe into the groom's name field in this case, then that field will be displayed on your gig sheet where you've put it. So in this case, you can see I've got bride's name and groom's name showing up there. If, however, you do not put a value in that field, so you just leave it blank like that, the field is not going to show up on the gig sheet. So it's not going to take up space there if it's just an empty value. So just bear that in mind. If you just have a whole bunch of fields going on here, because obviously you've got different types of events, right? You do weddings, corporate events, club gigs. Maybe these have specific fields that you need for each of them. Don't be worried that every field you put in here is going to show up on the page and clutter things up, because they're not actually going to show up there unless you use them. So same kind of idea for admin fields, but we have a couple options within admin fields. So you can see I have a planner contact set here for my admins only to see. And if I hover over this little tooltip, you'll see that it says that it will only be visible to admins, and this will be displayed on the gig sheet in that admin area. I also have the option with admin fields, though, to create fields that do not display on the gig sheet. So even if I put a value in there, maybe it's something I just don't need to use. I don't need to show on the gig sheet. It's something that's really just for admin purposes. This could be, for example, maybe something like possibly like a first dance song request, let's say. Maybe you collect that information from the person, but then when you build your set list for the band, you're actually going to go and put that song on the set list. So you don't really need it to be in two places. You don't need that song sitting in your sidebar admin column as well as being on your set list. So if you've got stuff like that where it really just has to be in the system, but it doesn't have to be getting in your face all the time, you can leave that unchecked, and then that field will just live in the back area here. But it still gets its own token. So if you did need to use it inside of a template or something, you can still do that as well. So those are all of your custom field types there, and really infinite possibilities to what you can do with those. All right, coming back to our main event details form here. So once again, you've got your secondary contact button right there. Secondary contacts are good for any other person that's on this event, from agents, venue managers, staff, planners, photographers, bride and groom's parents, or whoever they need to be, anybody else you need to communicate with on this event. And then coming down to here, we have your date, and you will see here this fun little add a date button. So this is brand new. This is part of our multi-day bookings capability that is now available for all of you to mess around with. So what you'll see first here is we've got the primary date, and then we've got a secondary date. And anytime I add another date, it's just going to keep on adding secondary dates there. So again, I gave some examples off the top of what you might use multi-day bookings for. But be aware that when you do create a multi-day event, the tokens that you have used throughout your contract and invoice and email templates for the event date, those tokens are always going to grab this primary date. So for example, if you're doing, in this example I've set this up as a wedding gig that has a mandatory rehearsal component with it. When I send my contract to my client, I want to have the event date in that contract. And I want to make sure the event date's actually the event date, not my rehearsal date. So that's how I would set that up. I'd make sure any dates that aren't like being paid for, essentially, those are the secondary dates. And then as you come down here to your schedule, what you'll see is as soon as you add a secondary date onto a booking, you're going to see this date field pop up on the left-hand side. So as you come down your schedule, which you'll notice is beautifully redesigned here, so you can just do so much more with it. But you're going to, first of all, select which date whatever item needs to go on. So you can see how I've sort of set this up. On July 21st, we're having our band rehearsal. So I've chosen my rehearsal start and rehearsal end items here and put in a time for each of those. And then down here on August 1st, where the event's actually happening, I've got my load in, sound check, doors, got my 9-piece dance band service going on there, and all my times and dates are set accordingly. So that's really awesome. And you'll see within each of these, if I open up this little drill down here, I also have an option to set an end time for each and every one of these things. So it doesn't necessarily make sense for every one of your schedule items to have an end time, which is why we kind of tucked it away in here. It's not something you will always use, but you can see in this case, I did put an end time in for my band because I want them to know what time their set is over. But then, the curfew for the event is a little later, so we kind of see how much time we have to get out of there. And then within this drop down, you'll see as well, we've got a notes section. So you can now add notes to every single item on your schedule should you need to, as well as attaching a set list or files as well. So this can be super helpful if you are building out a travel schedule, for example. Maybe you're going to put an airport arrival and a flight time item on your schedule here. You could actually attach those flight tickets or any kind of transportation details you need right here in the schedule. Nice and easy for your musicians and crew to find. So yeah, really infinite possibilities here. Lots you can do with that. One thing I will note as well that you've seen that I've done here is I actually put the location of this rehearsal right here in the notes. And I put the location for the event right here in the notes as well. The reason I did that is because you'll see when you come down here to location, we have one location field per booking. And that really is, that functions great most of the time, but as soon as you get into the multi-day event territory, if you're doing this event in multiple locations, that can get a little confusing to people. So what I like to do is fill in that field with just something like that. Multiple locations, see schedule for details. And then what you'll see here, if I come back to my gig sheet, the location link at the top here, instead of having one address up there like it normally would, it's telling them, oh, there are multiple locations. So it makes it really clear to them that this is not the address, look somewhere else. And I'm looking at the schedule. Okay, what do I see in the schedule? Oh, I see the address right there. Okay, there's the rehearsal location. Oh, event location, there it is. So it makes it nice and easy for them to know where each of these items on your schedule is taking place. One last thing to note about, or a couple more things to note about the schedule. First of all, you will note there are no drag and drop handles for you to rearrange any of these fields. And that is because our system will intelligently do that for you. So if, for example, I needed to add in a dinner component here, I wanted to let the band know when the dinner was going to take place. I would just add schedule item. I would choose that's going to happen on the 1st. This is going to be 6 p.m. And take a quick note here as well. Some people think these options in the drop down here are your only options. They are not. You can type in whatever number you want here and it will accept it. But one quick shorthand is if I just wanted to say this dinner is at 6 p.m., I just have to type 6 and the letter P and I press tab and it beautifully fills it in to look like a really nice time for me. So if you're using your keyboard, that is a handy way to move around quickly. So I'm going to come in here. Let's see, I don't have a dinner time, so I could add a new schedule item. I could put on a new custom field for dinner. By the way, if you want to include these fields on your client questionnaires and have your client provide all this information, like when the dinner time is and all that stuff, create custom fields by doing this. And then those fields will be available for you on your questionnaires as well. So I've just set my dinner hour for 6 p.m. When I save this event, the system is automatically going to move that up into the schedule into the right spot. It should go right there after doors and before the band set starts. So it will do that for me. Last thing I want to note up here is this little eyeball right here where it says hide from non-admins. What is this? So our schedule, for those of you who know Back on Stage pretty well, our schedule is completely tied to the rest of your downstream workflow items. If you see here, what are services? So services, as you know, are basically templates that tell the system how much you're charging for a specific service, what sort of needs to go on your contract, as well as which roles need to get booked for that service. So all of that information is tied back here to your schedule because your schedule is how you add services to your bookings. However, the last system was a little bit rigid in this regard because you had to add a service to your system and to your schedule, and sometimes you didn't want that service to appear on the schedule. It just didn't make sense. Maybe you were trying to bill your client for something like an extra uplighting package or something like that, or some transportation or a tank of gas or something like that. And this service isn't something that needed to appear on the schedule because it wasn't something that made sense on the schedule. And it also may not have been something you actually even needed to book any roles for. So what we've done now is made it possible for you to hide those schedule items. So in this case, I've got a sound system and lighting package that I'm selling to this client, but I don't actually need the musicians to see that on the schedule. So if I come back over to the gig sheet, you'll note that we do not see that lighting or sound package anywhere on this schedule. And that is because I've hit that little eyeball icon and now it is hidden. So it's only going to show up here on the schedule for me to see. It's like a nice little reminder that I've added that in there. It shows up here with all the rest of my services that I've added, but it's not getting in the way for anybody else. And I said that was the last thing, but there are actually two more things I want to talk about on here. We've done so much with the schedule. It is kind of crazy. I thought I was going to lose a lot more hair over this. I only lost not too much. Enough, though. When you're creating services now, same kind of idea as before. You've got your title, description, price, taxing, that sort of stuff. But you'll notice down here at the bottom now, we've got a toggle here for hire roles for this service. We know that not every service you created in the past necessarily had roles you needed to hire for it. So in the past, we kind of had to hack the system by just adding a dummy role, and you just have to book yourself on some dummy role. And it's just a little cumbersome. So now if you have, like in my case, this sound and lighting package that I don't actually need to book roles for, I can leave that turned off. And now I do not have to worry about booking roles for that service, and it won't get in my way. But should I need to book roles, all I'd have to do is come in here, fill this out, blah, 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 some money, and oops, go away. And then I just toggle this on. And from here, it's as easy as going down, adding a bunch of musicians in there. And voila, I can pop their rates in there. And before you know it, I've got myself a nice new service. So that's how easy it is to add services onto the event now as well. And now, finally, the final note, I think, is right here. So you'll notice this service is grayed out. Why that's grayed out is because I've already saved this event and I've already created my invoice and I've already booked musicians. Those are all linked to this service as well as this service. Every service that I've put on here already is connected to those downstream items. If I were to come on here and delete this service right now, that would have to remove all of those booked roles. It would have to remove that service from my invoice because they're all linked together. That might not be the necessary thing you want to do. We've had people do that in the past accidentally, and it's not fun when you accidentally cancel 11 musicians that you booked for an event. So we've created all sorts of little safety guards in here for you now. See, if I click on that delete button, it's telling me right away, look out, this is going to affect other parts of your booking. We've connected this to your invoice and your contract and your booked roles. Are you sure you really want to do this? And if you hit that confirm delete, it is going to do everything I just said. It's coming out of all those other areas and it's going to cancel all of your musicians for you. So don't take that lightly. However, one of the things people have needed to do in the past a lot is changing these services around a little bit, because let's say your client comes, they want to book an event, a wedding, let's just say, and they really love your 9-piece band. They love the horns, but they just don't have the budget, they think. So they go ahead and they book a 5-piece band. Months later, they've done all their budgeting, things have come around, and they're looking at the band again, and they're thinking, you know what, we do have a little extra money. It would be really nice to get that horn section. Let's upgrade. And at that point, they come back to you and say, okay, we know we booked the 5-piece. We'd like to upgrade to the 9. Can we do that? And of course, you want to say yes. So you want to come in here and you want to change your service from the 5-piece to the 9-piece. What did I just say, though? The service is connected to everything downstream. If we take that 5-piece band and we switch it to a 9-piece band, that's going to change the whole contract, the whole invoice. It's going to need to remove all of your musicians and rebook everybody. That's pretty painful. We don't want to do that. So what you can do instead now, we've made the invoice and contract and the book roles pages a lot more flexible. And all you have to do now is come in here and change the name of this service. You don't need to put a whole new service on here. We just need to make a few updates to this event. So I could come in here and say, okay, this client is changing. They want to now book the 11-piece band. I can save that change. It's going to change the title to 11-piece band. It's putting this little note down here for me to let me know that I've edited that from the 9-piece band service. So this used to be a 9-piece band, but I've upgraded it. And now I can keep track of that in all of my downstream items. I can now go to my invoice, and all I have to do is update the rate amount there. Presumably, I'm charging them a little more for that upgrade. And then I just have to open up the book roles page for that service and add on a couple more members there. And all of that can be done easily now as well. And we'll take a look at that as we move along here. Wow, schedule. Okay, lots of stuff in there. I hope you guys enjoy that. No other changes down here. So I'm not even going to talk about that stuff because we're almost at an hour here. And want to be respectful of your guys' time, but man, we've got a lot in this new update. So hope you're as excited as I am to be checking all of this stuff out. Awesome. Okay, so now we are into the new and improved booking creator. What do you notice? First of all, we've got this handy little sidebar over here. Again, you've got a snapshot of all your finances there. You can open that up to reveal some important details as well as your schedule. This is super helpful if you want to copy and paste any of these items into your contract or anything like that. First things first, questionnaires right here at the top. I'm not even going to open that today because that is tomorrow's session. So come back for that. I am going to quickly dive into our invoice though. So when we open this up, you'll notice, first of all, we have a little edit icon beside our invoice number here. We've now made it possible for you to customize your own invoice numbers should you want to do that. For example, if I wanted all my invoices to begin with BOS 2024, I could just do that. And then maybe I've already got QuickBooks working for me and they've already issued 12 invoices this year. So I want to start on invoice number 13. I can set that up and bam, I'm going to have a brand new invoice number sequence for myself. Coming down here, you will see all of the services. We've just provided them for this event. And if we want to display the dates for whatever reason, if this was a multi-day event that happened, let's say maybe it was a pub gig and it was every Thursday of the month, I might want to actually break out each of those services for my client on a weekly basis. So you could do that as well. Blah, 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 blah. What else is going on down here? We've got a discount option you can turn on should you need. We've got our deposit option. Oh, this is helpful. So right over here, you'll notice we've now got tokens going on inside this little message field. By default, we're putting the title, the venue, and the event date into there for you. But if you want to customize your invoice text, you can do that here as well. Type anything you want into there, put any tokens in there from the booking. A lot of you wanted to include your your bank transfer information or your Venmo transfer information or whatever it is. Feel free to put any sort of standard boilerplate stuff into there, and that'll be saved on all of your client invoices going forward. So nice and easy to work with invoices. Obviously, nice new design on those as well. Your contract template now, not a whole lot has changed here. I mean, we've obviously made it look a lot nicer for you. But once again, the main difference with contract is now that they are countersigned. So you put a signature on here when you send it out, but the client will not see that until they have actually added their signature first, and then yours is attached on after that. All right, so that is our contract and invoice. I'm just going to check my notes here, make sure I'm not forgetting about anything I wanted to mention to you guys as we're going through here. Yep, I think we're doing good. Okay. All right, on to booking roles. So, first of all, admins out there, if you have been experiencing the book roles page already, I apologize. This is probably the slowest page in our app right now, aside from maybe board view. Thankfully, your musicians don't have to experience it. It's really just you guys. We've done so much in this page, and it really is awesome what you're capable of in here now. But we are struggling with some speed issues here, so we are working on getting those fixed and speeding this up a little bit for you guys. But bear with us in the meantime while that happens. So first of all, things you will note of difference here. We have some action buttons up here that help you either expand all these roles, collapse them all, or remove them all. When I expand a role, you will see I've got some information in here. First of all, we've got this little handy tooltip here. If you forget anything I'm about to say, you can come in here and refresh your memory on how our system actually works to book all of your musicians for you. We've made some changes to our auto book algorithm. Details on that there. Manual booking is pretty straight ahead. And then we've added this brand new shotgun feature, which I'll talk about in a sec. So within the roles card here, you can see I've manually booked all of these people on this event. If I hover over any one of these, it'll show me a little tooltip saying you manually booked Elvis Presley for this role. When I open it up here, I've got options to either reset that role, I can duplicate it or delete it. If you leave your mouse over there long enough, it'll give you a little tooltip of what that does. And then, of course, I've got the rate amount. We've got this handy new feature in here for you to bulk edit all of the rates. So you can either come in here and say, yes, I want to bulk edit the rates across all of my roles, or no, just that role that I just selected. I just want to edit the rate amounts for all of the members that are part of that role. So, for example, if you pay your drummer a lot more than everybody else, don't know why you would, but if that's what you did, you could just edit that one role. Okay, and then we've got down here hiding in the little text, your gig notice, your gig offer window as well. Okay, so what I'm actually going to do here is add one more person because I forgot to book a sound tech for this role, or for this gig rather. I'm going to add them on there like that. I'm going to pay this person $300 and I'm going to add them in there. So once they are added onto this list, I will be able to expand their role and show you all of the incredible fun stuff we've built out in here. So this, you see the little spinny icon happening. That's the slowest part of the page right now. Once again, bear with us as we're making that faster for you guys. But if you've got really long call lists, for example, 20 or 30 people on your list of people, one thing you might consider doing right now is just shortening that list a little bit. If it's just too painful for you to be opening that up all the time, you could shorten up that list by assigning those people to different roles. Maybe you split that up. Maybe I've got like a sound technician 1 and a sound technician 2 or something like that role. And I can just know that, okay, my sound techs 1 is like the first call guys, and sound tech 2 is what I add on when all my first call guys are unavailable, for example. So that would speed up the system a bit for you. But when I open this up, you'll see, first of all, at the top, I've got 3 fun options here. So in this case, I've selected auto book. What's going to happen? The system's going down my list one by one and offering these gigs to people. If I come down here, you'll see I've got my offers set to go out. That's probably too small for you guys to see. Every 6 hours, each member will be given 48 hours to accept or decline their offer. If I'm not happy with that, I can click on that and edit those settings right there. What's going to happen if this person declines their offer? It's going to move on to the next person and so on. But the change that we've made to this auto book algorithm now is that what our system does is it will intelligently look at all of the other offers that have gone out already. So if this Charles Davis, for example, if this person has already received a gig or an offer for lead vocals, let's just say. Maybe this person's also a singer in my band. If the system's already offered them a gig, or if they've already been booked, we are automatically going to skip them in this case. So bear that in mind if you are actually trying to book people for multiple roles. You may need to either combine those into one role now, or you may want to just book them for the first role and then come back once they've accepted that role and manually book them for the second one, because our auto book system is now going to look at them, and as soon as they've accepted, or sorry, as soon as they've received that first offer, it's going to assume that they are taken essentially, and it won't keep bombarding them. So one of the reasons why we did that was because our system needs to be able to handle a large volume of players and duplicated roles as well. So one of the biggest things that people were asking for was the ability to be able to add multiples of the same role to an event. For example, maybe I need 2 trumpet players, or I need 4 male lead singers, or I need I'm an orchestra and I need 20 violin players, for example, right? So now our system is able to do that. I am able to add as many of those roles as I want. For example, male lead vocals, you see now I have a quantity field here. So I can actually add 20 male lead singers onto this event, should I want to. And if I did that, I would see 20 male lead singers down here, and I could book them all out. But if I were to do that and I were to leave autobook turned on and send out 20 gig offers, our old system would have gone and seen that, okay, Charles is the top of this list, and he's also the top of all the other 20 lists. So Charles is immediately going to receive 20 gig offers for all of these duplicate roles, and that wasn't going to work. So what the new system is able to do is, okay, it's going to load up the first male vocal role. It's going to see Charles. It's going to send off that gig offer. Then it moves on to the next one. It's going to see Charles again. It's going to note that he already got a gig offer, and it's going to move on to Diane in that case, and so on. So as it goes down the list, it's just moving on to the next person. So we're not bombarding people with multiple role offers for the same role. So that is the biggest change to Autobook. Bear that in mind as you're moving forward with stuff. In terms of what else you can do on this page, we've got reordering right here. So you can come in there and reorder these people should you want to move them around. We've got, again, like I said, the bulk editing rates, or you can manually enter rates for people there. We also have these little info icons. Unfortunately, their tooltips are not working right now, but eventually you'll have a little bit more information when you hover over these as well. Lots of little helpful bits of information will come in here. So when I see this multi-role one, what that's telling me is that this person is listed on multiple roles in this booking. So for example, Rick might also be listed as my drummer, in which case, he's only going to receive one of those gig offers, whichever one gets to him first. So that can be helpful for you to note as well. You may see, I don't have anybody on this list, but you may see a little yellow one saying conflict. What that means is that person is already booked for an event on this date. It could be with your company. It could be with another company they're involved with, but that tells you they do have something else going on. They may not necessarily be unavailable though. So the system will send them a gig offer anyway. For many reasons. I mean, maybe your gig's better and they want to ditch the other one, or maybe it's just a timing thing, and maybe the other gig they've got is a 10 a.m. church gig and your gig's a 4 p.m. wedding gig. So even though they're on the same date and our system picked up on that fact, they may still be able to actually do both. So we don't automatically not send that out, and you probably shouldn't axe them from the list in that case, just because you see that, but it does give you a sense of people's availability. And the reason we built that one was for handy situations where maybe you're on a time crunch. Somebody calls and asks if your band's available 2 days from now. If you want to know if you actually have stand a chance at putting a band lineup together, you can quickly open up the book roles page, and if you see conflicts beside everybody's name on your lists, you know right away it's probably going to be a little challenging for you to get those players together in time. So just trying to give you guys more information at your fingertips for all the situations you might need. Coming over to manual book now, again, like I said, that's pretty straight ahead. You just choose whichever member from the list you want to manual book, and that just locks them in. Shotgun now. Shotgun is a spray and pray kind of approach, for lack of a better term. Essentially, what's going to happen in this case is there's no preferential order or anything. Everybody's going to receive this gig offer all at once, and it's just a first come, first serve type of thing. So the first person to come in and accept that offer gets it, and everybody else will be automatically declined on that. Perfect. So that's what's going on here on the bookings page. We also have this super handy little activity log down here. So when you open that up, now you get a full log of all the activity that this page has done for this particular event. And in the case of emails or SMS alerts, you can actually click on them and see exactly what the system sent out to that individual person as well. So really handy sort of log. If musicians are saying, oh, I didn't get the gig offer and I don't see anything, whatever, you can come in here and verify that in fact, yes, that was sent. And if they're claiming they didn't see it, maybe it went to their junk, or maybe they're just not very good at email. But you can at least verify that now. Awesome. Okay, when you click book roles now, that will pull up all of the new roles that you've just added to the list. You saw when I opened this page, everybody was manually booked. All I did was add a sound technician on. So this is the only person that we're actually launching a gig offer for right now. So it's telling me that. Also, you will notice this little save changes button right here. So if I did not want to actually book this person right now, but maybe I've customized an order and I've put in some rate amounts and I've done all that kind of stuff, but I don't actually want to launch this gig offer, I can hit the save changes button, and that will not launch the gig offers. It will just save whatever changes I've made here. That was another big request from people, to be able to kind of save things and not necessarily launch them all. What else to say about that? I think that's all I need to say about that. So we are going to launch that offer, and off it goes. Okay, perfect. So looking through here, I don't think, yes. Okay, a couple more items on the agenda. I know we're 8 minutes over time. Actually, I don't even know if we posted an end time for these things. So I don't know if you guys need to run or are trying to run or whatever. I obviously don't have you locked here, so you're welcome to leave if you need to. But hopefully you can stick around to the end, because we've just got 2 more things to cover. So that's the whole booking creator, gig sheet, flow, navigation, all of that. I hope that has been super insightful. I'm not seeing any questions over here in our chat, so I'm assuming either you guys are just super mind blown and cannot believe your eyes and have no idea even where to begin with your questions, or you're actually not paying attention and you just went and did something else, which is fine too. No offense taken, because I love talking about this stuff. So here we are on the board view page. Again, this is one of our slower pages in the app, so apologies to you guys if you are trying to use this. What I'm doing right now is I just sort of load it up and then I leave it there, and I try not to leave the page, and then it stays up there for me. But when we get this faster, it'll be really, really impactful, I think. What we've tried to do with this page is give you guys kind of the bird's eye view of all of your bookings at their various stages and help you really delve into what needs to get done. As we looked at on the dashboard earlier with sort of our action items from bookings area, this thingy over here, this is a similar kind of idea. We're trying to pull out all of the really important things that you might need to be doing within your events. But what the board view does is puts it sort of in sort of this Kanban style view, and it gives you a little more visibility into each individual booking and what specifically is going on. So for example, I've got this AGM event gig coming up here. I can see that I have not sent any questionnaires to that client. I have no tasks. Oh, but my invoice is overdue. Basically, it's a spot the red kind of situation, right? I can see my invoice is overdue, and I don't have a contract on this one. I have booked a role, so that's good. I've got an expense on that. So that really quickly tells me, okay, I don't know what's going on with this gig because I haven't made any money on it. I've paid some people out. Probably should do something about that, right? We also everything's organized in columns here. So bookings that are being negotiated are over here. Anything that's confirmed is over here. And in the past, we didn't make this super clear to people, but really what you should do when a gig is over and it's completed, you should mark it completed. And this will help keep your board view nice and clean as well. So it's nice and easy to do that. You just click on the 3 dots and say completed, and that will move this event over to your completed column for you. You can also open this handy little sidebar drawer. Oops, looks like we're having an error in there today. Oh no, come back. I'm going to have to wait for board view to load again. Don't click on that little tab, I guess. We just made some changes in there last night, and looks like that might not have been super agreeable. All right. I'm going to not wait for that to load and waste your guys' time. We're going to come over to sheet view, and I'll go back to board view once I see that's loaded up there. So sheet view. Much more stuff going on in sheet view. This is a much more pleasant experience right now than board view. It is a little faster to load. We've got some handy buttons up there for you guys. So essentially, it's a spreadsheet, nothing crazy about it. But what you can do up here is set a date range. So if you wanted to set this to fixed dates, maybe you just want to have this pulling up this year's gigs, for example, you could set that. Or if you want to make this a flexible date, this will move with you as the date continues to shift, which dates have a tendency of doing. So maybe every time I load up this spreadsheet, I don't want to see any gigs that have happened in the past. All I want to see is my upcoming gigs. So I could set it to something like this. And then this table, every time I load up this page, these settings are saved. So even if I navigate away from this page and come back, next time I open it up, it's going to jump back to this setting for me. So you guys can customize this however you want to look at your events. I think I've set this. How did I do this for myself here? I think I set this to display just like a few gigs in the past. Oh, come on. Might be having an issue here today too. I just want to see like a few gigs in the past, maybe like up to a week in the past, but everything in the future. But I don't need to go all the way back to square one, for example. Like we started putting our gigs into back on stage in 2021. So there's a lot of data in there. And in fact, oh yeah, maybe I had my date filter set a little large here. I've got 33 pages of events in here. So that might be a little too far back, but you can set that range however it makes sense for your workflow. Filters, you can now actually custom build a search in here as well. So if I wanted to pull up gigs that had a client name that started with or that contained, I don't know, John, for example. I don't know if I have any client names that start with John. Nope, I don't have any clients that start with John. But that's how you could build a custom search in there to pull out whatever gigs you may want it to do. And then one really handy feature here is your columns as well. So you can customize this table. You can see how much data we have in the system for all of your events now. We've included all of your custom fields in here, everything you could possibly want to know about your events, promotional details, accommodation, invoice and contract stuff. And we're adding more to these as we go as well. But this essentially could make it so that this spreadsheet view could be a way that you could export any kind of information about your gigs, whether it's a report for tax time that needs to show all of your invoice amounts that were paid this year and any amounts owing, or whether it's a report of just all the services. You maybe want to see sort of what services you've provided throughout the year and which ones are your top sellers, for example. There's so much customizability in here. You can really kind of drill into any sort of report you might need. So that is sheet view. And of course, some handy bulk actions here. If you want to bulk apply tags or clear tags, export certain bookings, set your assigned admins, changing booking statuses, that sort of stuff. So some actions you can take there as well. Okay, back over to our now loaded board view. I'll finish off looking at this. So essentially, yeah, within each item here, you can also, like we did on the sheet view, you can set a date range filter up there. You can come down here into properties and choose which one of these items you want to look at. So all of these little cards you see for each of my events, I've got questionnaires, tasks, invoice, contract, roles, expenses. If I didn't want to look at any of those, for example, these are actually saved at your user level. So if you're the admin that takes care of finances, for example, but you don't really care about, I don't know, tasks or questionnaires or tags, you could turn those off so you don't have to look at them. But if you're the guy who's responsible for booking all the musicians for a gig, maybe you want to make sure you're looking at just the roles tab here, like that. And then all you would see is this roles area and make it easier for you to do your job. So yeah, I love these cards. I think it's just so much easier to look at bookings than in a calendar. I've kind of always hated calendars. Just I love the visual aspect of the way it's laid out, but you just don't get any information from a calendar. You get the event title and the date, and that's about it. You can just do so much more with a card, and especially when we can put all these little expand sections in here, you can really kind of drill into details so much easier and see exactly what's going on really quickly with all of your bookings. So I hope you guys get some use out of this board view area and that it improves your booking workflow and all of your lives. Okay, so with all that said, I've covered everything I wanted to go over in today's session. So I'm taking a quick peek over into our chat session now, and we'll see if there's anything in there. So Abby, we've got some questions. So question regarding search bar and tasks in the dashboard. When would be a good time to discuss that? Okay. I don't know, Abby, if you're still there, it looks like you needed to run. That was 8 minutes ago. If you're still there, put a little thumbs up in there or something. We can either jump on here and we can chat about that together. But I will address the search bar comment first of all. So the search bar, yes, the search bar that used to be up here is no longer. It may be coming back in the future, but essentially what we've done is we've put search bars in every page where you could possibly need them. And we determined at this point, just because of how we've broken the information up across the new system, this is actually a lot more powerful because the old search only was searching certain aspects, certain data points within the system. And with the system containing so many different things, from your songs and repertoire and MP3s right over to client information, musicians, payouts, all that sort of stuff, it's really hard to actually build a search interface that is effective at delivering what the customer wants when there's so much stuff behind it. So what you can do now is whenever you go to like board view, sheet view, leads, you'll notice that all of those data tables. So for example, I'm just going to open up a few of these for us to look at. Let's open up clients. Let's open up members. Let's open up repertoire. So when I take a look at these pages, you'll notice here I am on my clients area. I've got a search bar right here for my client. So if I want to search for my client's named Adam, I can use that. It's actually pretty effective and fast. Members, if I want to find Matt, it's nice and easy to find members that way. Repertoire, same idea. If I want to find a song, treasure, there it is, right? So now it's a little easier for you to find what you're looking for because you're first of all telling the system what you're actually looking for. Are you looking for a song? Are you looking for a client? Are you looking for a member? Go into that section first, and then you can find that information there. So hopefully that helps with search bar. Okay, I'm going to move on to Ian's question here. Do a lot of bands regularly charge tax on their events? You are in the US. No, not for you in the US. No bands charge tax in the United States. That is not a thing you guys have to do. You are so lucky. The rest of the world is not so lucky. Australia, Canada, UK, all over Europe. Oh my God, don't get me started on Europe. We're almost considering backing out of Europe because their tax situation is so difficult over there. It makes you want to kill yourself. So no, you do not need to add taxes on your service, and I would recommend you not because that's kind of illegal if you don't need to charge them. So keep your life simple and do not charge taxes if you do not have to. Especially, I mean, even if you are in a country that charges tax, there are still limitations. Like for Canada and the UK and Australia, I know there's like thresholds you have to meet. So if you're making less than $30,000 a year off of your project in Canada, for example, you don't have to charge taxes. But once you pass that, then there's a GST, goods and services tax, that we have to add on top of our services and bill the clients for that. So yes and no is the answer to your question, but it depends on the local. Next question. Okay, Ian, you're on fire today. All right, let's keep this going. Is there a way to schedule and pay for one-on-one time to best update my business? Yes, absolutely. Mr. Client, I'm mostly looking forward to automated questionnaire, being sent to my client at a time, blah, blah, blah. All right, questionnaires. Yes, questionnaires. Awesome. Love questionnaires. We've done so much with questionnaires. Please come back tomorrow when we are talking about questionnaires all day long. We've done so much with the client lead form, which is basically just another questionnaire. But you've got so many more options now for lead form stuff. And of course, when that transfers over to the booking side of things, then those become questionnaires, and you can do a lot more with those as well. So yeah, big day on all that stuff tomorrow, and sort of mapping out your client journey and helping having your questionnaires and lead forms help along that way. And regarding sort of paying for one-on-one time, yes, we can definitely do those sessions. You can hit us up in the chat inside the app. We're happy to book those for you. Otherwise, come to the rest of the sessions this week, because we're basically covering everything in the app. So before you pay for anything, try the free stuff. That's all I can say. Also, I'm personally so busy this week with all this launch and webinars and everything that I'm not scheduling anything till next week anyway. So see what you can get out of this week, and hopefully it works for you. Michelle, thank you for your question. Is there a way to add more than one deposit on an invoice? Okay, so the short answer is yes and no. It wouldn't technically be called a deposit if it was a second time in our system, but you can add as many payments as you want to an invoice. So for example, I'm coming back to this event that I set up earlier. You'll see when I come to apply payment, when I created the invoice, I set my deposit requirement here. My default's always 50%. So if I come in here, you'll see my deposit is calculating to half of my total amount that you see over here, which is 10,000. It's saying 5,000 is your deposit. So I can go ahead and apply a deposit to that invoice. At that point, the system is going to register that the deposit has been paid. But in the event that you want a couple deposits, I know some people do this where, there's maybe a booking deposit and then a month out, you're taking another, I don't know what you call it, second deposit or whatever. What you have to do is come in here and just choose the custom amount. And then you can put in whatever payment method you want, type in whatever amount that second deposit's going to be, and you can do it that way. So you can do this from your admin dashboard, and you can also do this from the client portal now. So you can just instruct your clients as to how to do that. That would probably be something, you would outline that in your contract anyway. If you wanted to get to the point of detailing the actual instructions in your contract, you could definitely do that. But I'd always recommend, like, if you're going to just email your client before that second deposit is due and say, hey, your second deposit's due in a week, include the instructions in that email for them as to exactly how to do that. And all they're going to have to do is come into their client portal, come down here, choose the custom option, plug in whatever amount that is. So you could have that in the email again, just reminding them, okay, another $2,000 deposit is due on such and such a date. Go to your client portal, hit that custom button, choose the option. And I'm not sure how you like to do things, but maybe it's an option for them to pay the balance as well if they prefer to do that. Some people like to just get the payments out of the way when they can. So maybe that's something you tell them as well. It's like when they come to the, just for you to know, when they come to the client portal after they've already paid a deposit, the deposit option disappears, and they'll only see the balance and custom options left. So at that point, the balance option will be selected by default. So if they come on here and they scroll down, they're going to see, oh, I owe $5,000 left for this event. Okay. but if they come over and toggle onto the custom one, then they'll be able to set their own amount there as well. You're very welcome. Hopefully that helped. Yes, Ian, you can rewatch these. We are putting them up on the website. So you'll be getting a link in about, or an email in about an hour or two with the sort of summary of today's talk. And that will include a link to a page where you will be able to watch today's session as well as all the other ones. We're just going to post them all on the same page there. So have no fear. You will find them all there. And you can even watch them in other speeds. So if I don't talk fast enough and you'd like to watch me faster, I love doing that. Can't stand watching videos at normal speeds anymore. All right, guys, we've gotten through all the questions in there. I don't see anybody else popping anything in there. I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds to put your question in there. And if it's not in there, I'm sure I'll be hearing from you guys in the chats inside the app anyway. And a quick note on that, if you are chatting with us right now, please excuse the delay in responses. We have had a barrage of stuff coming at us since our launch last week, and we are doing our best to keep on top of it all, but we've got emails and texts and chats and all sorts of stuff coming our way. So we are doing our best, but please bear with us on that. Seth, you've raised a hand. Let's see. Do you want to talk? Is that what you were raising your hand for? You're very welcome, Kimmy. Excited as well. Thank you for your message. Okay. Let me just see here. Seth, I'm going to, pardon me, folks. This is my first day using Google Meet as in a larger group context setting. So I'm just going to see if I can figure this out. Okay, Seth, you're writing a question in there. Unbooked roles. How can we set a date range from the dashboard? Date range from the dashboard. Seth, I'm going to unmute your microphone if I can. That's okay. And I'm just going to ask you to talk to me here. Here we go. Let's try this. Can I do this? Come on, Google. How do I unmute one person's microphone? This is difficult. Okay. Let me try it this way. All right. So will this work? All right, Seth, I think you are going to be able to unmute your own microphone now. Try that for me.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. It works. Hello.
Yeah, so I had a browser that had saved an unbooked roles search, and I, of course, refreshed it with a new UI, and, of course, it's blowing up. So I went logically to the dashboard to just see if that feature existed, and I see that it does under action items for bookings. It says unbooked roles, and it says 0, which I know is false. So I figured it was a date range issue. And through the UI, I can't figure out how to set a date range so I can get an accurate result for the unbooked roles.
I see. Okay. Yeah, the action items table on the dashboard is definitely still having some issues. So yeah, it's probably not coming up on there for that reason. So sorry, what was your issue exactly? You had some roles that you just needed to book, or?
Well, I'm sure you guys can all appreciate Monday is Pastor My Musician's Day to get back to me on some auto booking stuff that's outstanding. Or if there's failed bookings, I like to look at that and reset things or figure it out. Yeah. So I do rely a lot on that unbooked roles feature query.
Okay.
So that's what I'm looking to achieve with that, and Monday is usually my day to do it.
I see. Okay.
And there's no urgency because I can do it tomorrow or another day.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know if you could try the board view. Actually, the sheet view also has the roles. Sheet view has a really handy roles column on it now, where you can see like how many of your roles are booked as well. And that's nice and easy to sort of drill down a date range. It loads a lot faster than board view does. So I recommend that.
And
I think give that a
yeah, I
try.
was in sheet view because that's essentially the interface where I had the unbooked roles query set up before. And I don't see any way to actually exclude booked roles from this result set. Plus, I think I have 574 items, so it'll keep blowing up. The query does after maybe 2 minutes. I think it times out on the server, regardless of whether I select 10 items per page or whatever. And if I click the date range, I can type in the date range, but I can't calendar pick it because something's broken in the.
Interesting.
broken
Yeah.
there.
Okay. Trying to think if there's another way you could make that happen right now.
And I don't want to jack up the time on this call because your training was fabulous, Ruben. Loved it. Learned so much. So thank you for doing this. And this is something we could take offline if it's not going to benefit the whole crew here.
Sure. Yeah. Why don't we do that? I don't want to keep anybody else waiting here if they've got other questions or stuff. But this is a good point because I know the the unbooked roles one is a big one. And should definitely find some way to make that really easy to get to in the UI. So I'm going to add that to my list today anyway of things to look at. So anything else then I can help you with while you're looking here? Was that
No, put me back on mute so I stop talking, please.
All right. We'll see you later, my friend.
Anyway, thanks a ton for everything today.
You betcha. Okay, perfect. So jumping back over to the chat, Mackenzie. Yes, you're very welcome. Goodbye, unless you're gone already. Okay, everybody, I don't see any more questions in the chat there. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And thank you all so much for putting up with our bugs over the last little while here. We are squashing them at record speeds here. We're working around the clock to get things sorted out here. And hopefully you guys like this new interface and it's able to work even better for you. Let us know what you think. If you love it, if you hate it. Hopefully there are some things you love at least. We have been getting some hate, but try not to take it too personally here. But like I said, really, really glad to have you guys around. So with all that said, happy gigging. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you guys all back here tomorrow for our questionnaires and leads side of things. So have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.